Today I want to show you how to use cosmetics to recreate eyebrows that you've lost. I myself don't have any eyebrows and these are all drawn on. This isn't just useful for people who have lost their eyebrows due to alopecia or treatment. It's also useful for people who have just plucked way too much of their own eyebrows off and are looking for a way to fill in the gaps in a way that looks natural. And for this, the absolute key is using a combination of powder and pencil. Too often you see people who have plucked their eyebrows into extinction and just got like a pencil and just drawn two lines that are razor thin, and it never looks natural. So what I'm going to show you today is how to use a combination of eyeshadow powder and pencil to recreate the most realistic look. First things first, and the most important thing is starting off with a good base. By that I mean clean face, excess moisturiser wiped away, and a little bit of translucent powder just dabbed on the brow area. So it's soft and it's smooth and it's going to respond to makeup well. And your makeup's not going to slide off your face in 3 hours. Then what I do is I apply my eyeshadow powder. And by this I mean a mixture of black eyeshadow powder and brown eyeshadow powder. For most people, regardless of their hair colour or what their original hair colour was, this is the most natural look. Black's going to look a bit fake by itself, brown's going to look a bit fake by itself, so a kind of sympathetic combination of the two is what you want. And I put this on with my little slanted brush. So I dab a bit in my black and a bit in my brown, and then very gently just etch on the kind of vague shape of an eyebrow, like that. And it really doesn't have to be perfect because real eyebrows aren't perfect. You just kind of want the suggestion of an eyebrow where your real ones were. And of course, if you've got a little bit of eyebrow left, or if you've only got partial loss of the eyebrows, this is going to be much easier because you know where you're going. You've got a map drawn for you, basically. If you make a mistake, as everyone does, just get a little cotton bud, a Q-tip, whatever you want to call it, just very gently just wipe away your mistakes. And that's the joy of starting off light and building up. As a general rule, I would advise starting off experimenting with lighter eyebrows, because then, as I say, you can build up. And too dark eyebrows always look a little fake. There you go. So I know a lot of people have this kind of almost kind of mathematical equation of like where the eyebrow should start and where it should end, and they kind of hold pencils up to their noses and stuff. But for me, that doesn't work. That's way too time consuming. I just think if you just do it by eye and go slowly, go lightly, and if you mess up, you just get this involved and just gently wipe it away. So that's step one. And a few little points I should make sure: don't stop too early. Always extend a little beyond, like that. So there you go. That's the first step, eyeshadow powder base. Of course, if you're in a hurry, you could always just leave it at that, having just gently feathered on the suggestion of eyebrows with eyeshadow powder. But the second step, I think, is really important for natural looking fake eyebrows, and that is to get a pencil involved, basically. And by pencil, I mean an eyebrow pencil. It's really important that it's an eyebrow pencil as opposed to an eyeliner pencil, because eyeliner pencils, like kohl pencils, they're meant to be soft, they're meant to be smudgy, you're meant to be able to create that kind of smoky look on your eyes with them, and that's the opposite of what we want here. You want something that's as close to an actual drawing pencil as you can get, by which I mean hard and easy to sharpen, because the sharpening is the key. And if I just hold that up there, you can see, kind of out of focus, how sharp I've sharpened that. And what I've done is I've just taken a normal cosmetic sharpener, like that. This one's a bourgeois one. And sharpened it to a kind of almost vicious point. If you're having trouble with cosmetic sharpeners, that's because some of them aren't terribly well made. Just use a normal pencil sharpener that you buy from a stationery shop, because you might get better results. Also, if your pencil's crumbling, keep it in the fridge, because that's going to make sure it's cold and it responds to sharpening better. So As I say, I've got an eyeliner pencil here. It's in a brown-black shade for the same reasons as I used a combination of brown and black eyeshadow powder for the base. Black looks a bit fake by itself, brown looks a bit fake by itself, so I've gone for a kind of a mixture here. So I've sharpened it, and what I'm going to do is, I'm going to lean in and show you, I'm going to very gently feather in little fake hairs, basically. And you're probably watching this saying, that sounds way too time consuming and hard and fiddly, and it's actually not. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm following the shape of the eyebrow there, like that. Can you see already it's looking more natural because you're creating kind of that 3D effect where you're fooling other people's eyes into thinking that there's actual hairs there. Basically, flat colour is always going to look fake. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just getting my little Q-tip and I'm just softening around the edges as well, because hard lines are always a giveaway that something's fake. Having done one eyebrow, I'm going to sharpen again, because you want to keep the pencil really sharp for this. Keep sharpening, sharpening, sharpening. It might mean that you go through a lot of pencils, but I think that's a price worth paying, especially because eyebrow pencils as a rule don't tend to be very expensive. Okay, I'm going to lean in again, and you can see what I'm doing. I'm feathering on little fake hairs. And you don't have to be very precise, or you don't have to kind of build up the impression of thousands of hairs. That's not what we're after here. I'm going to sharpen again. You can hear me doing it. And go back in again. And you kind of want your hairs to be following the same angle. But for a really natural look, you can put in a few ones that kind of stand up a bit more, because that's what real eyebrows look like. And like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect, because real eyebrows aren't perfect. Here you go. Just as a general rule, don't go too far in towards the nose, but don't start too late as well. Round about there is kind of perfect. And I'm just going to go and even up that other eyebrow there as well. There you go. So you kind of step back and check that you're happy with them. Get your trusty Q-tip just to soften off any hard edges. And there you go, already that's looking much more natural. Nearly there, and the last step is just to make sure that your new fake eyebrows don't slide off during the day, basically. It would be nice to just be able to leave them, but they won't stay on. You'll accidentally rub them, or you'll get water on them and they'll fall off, and that's really frustrating when you've spent a good 10 minutes creating these kind of beautiful eyebrows that aren't real. So what I like to do is get my little translucent powder puff again and just pat down a bit more translucent powder. I'll get close in so you can see what I'm doing here. There you go. And the last step is to put a lacquer on top. And there are many good types of makeup sealant, makeup lacquer out there, and I go through quite a few of the best ones on my blog, so if you're interested you can take a look at that. What I'm going to be using today is Benefit Shellac, because it's a kind of very thin liquid that seals anything that's put on under it. What I'm doing is I'm just painting it over the eyebrows there, because this stuff will dry and create a seal over it. And you can see, as with all the best sealants, it shouldn't smudge the makeup that it's going on top of. That's not what you want. There you go, I'm going to just let that dry. Of course, one downside with a lot of sealants is that they kind of leave that kind of shiny look on top, which isn't surprising because they've got a job to do, which is basically gluing makeup in place. So, as the final step, when I've let that dry, I'm just going to waft that so it dries. There you go. What I like to do is get a little powder brush, put some translucent powder on, just very lightly, kind of take the edge off that shine there, because that's the one giveaway that your eyebrows aren't real. What you're going for is that kind of matte 3D look that looks like real eyebrows, essentially. So, that's it. I'm just going to come in very closely and show you. In just a little time, that's what you can create. Of course, they're not real eyebrows, but they look nearly like the real thing. So I hope you've enjoyed.